In the quiet hum of a forgotten village, where time itself seemed to have taken a long, deep breath, a figure appeared. It stood at the very edge of things, where the wild grass met the first worn cobblestones. Not old, not young, not man, not woman. Its presence was like an unfinished sentence, a melody hanging in the air without resolution. No thunderclap announced its arrival, no prophecy whispered its name. It simply was. The children, as they often do, saw it first. Their games of stick and stone paused, their laughter caught in their throats, replaced by a wide-eyed curiosity. They approached, a small, brave procession, and one of them, the boldest, asked, "Who are you?" The figure's voice, when it came, was not a sound but a feeling, a resonance in the air that tasted of dust and starlight. "I am not yet," it seemed to say. This answer, this impossible, terrifying truth, rippled through the children. Here was a being without a domain, a god without a temple, a story without a beginning or an end. It was pure potential, a canvas so vast it could become anything, or perhaps everything. Soon, the village began to change in ways no one could explain. Strange, subtle patterns started to weave themselves into the fabric of daily life. When a woman forgave her neighbor a long-held debt, the air between their houses grew warm and smelled of summer rain, a warmth that lingered for days. When a merchant told a lie, his reflection in the shop window would flicker and distort, showing a face that wasn't his own, just for a moment. A kind word spoken to a stranger would cause the dandelions on the roadside to stand a little taller. And when a family, with barely enough for themselves, shared a loaf of bread with a traveler, tiny, impossible blue flowers bloomed from the crumbs they left behind. These were not grand miracles, not seas parting or mountains moving. They were quiet, intimate wonders, all trailing in the wake of the figure's silent presence. The reality of the village was being shaped, moment by moment, by the behavior of its people. This new power was unlike anything the old story spoke of. The figure commanded no winds, raised no storms, and held no dominion over the earth or the sky. It wasn't a ruler of the elements. It was a mirror to the soul. Its power was born from attention, fed by choice. Every act of compassion, every shared glance of understanding, made it stronger, its form becoming clearer, more defined. Every act of cruelty, every whispered bit of malice, caused it to dim, to recede, its edges blurring back into the twilight from which it came. It didn't demand worship or sacrifice. It simply was, and its existence depended entirely on the collective heart of the village. It was a new kind of divinity, one not imposed from above, but grown from within. Far away, in their celestial halls and deep earth thrones, the old gods stirred. They felt this new presence, a faint tremor in the cosmic balance. They searched for a rival, a challenger to their ancient authority. But they found nothing. There was no army at its back, no legendary weapon in its hand, no thunderous name to fear. How could you fight something that had no form of its own? How could you challenge a being whose voice was the chorus of 1,000 small kindnesses, whose shape was molded by a shared secret, a forgiven trespass, a moment of selfless grace? The old gods, with their mountains of power and their eons of rule, were stumped. They were titans of a bygone era, masters of the grand and the epic. But this was different. This was a power of the small, the mundane, the beautifully, terribly human. It was a god being born not of myth and legend, but of countless, seemingly insignificant choices made every single day. And in the face of this quiet, persistent becoming, the old gods could only watch and wonder, and perhaps for the first time in a very long time, feel a flicker of something that resembled fear. The figure, still standing at the edge of the village, began to solidify. It took on the gentle lines of the woman who tended the sick, the steady gaze of the farmer who toiled his fields with honest hands, the bright, curious smile of the children who first dared to approach. Its voice was now a soft melody, composed of the lullabies sung to sleeping babies and the cheerful greetings exchanged in the morning market. The villagers, looking at this being they had inadvertently created, saw not a deity to be feared, but a reflection of their better selves. They had, without knowing it, answered the question it had posed upon its arrival. It was no longer "not yet." Through their actions, their love, their forgiveness, their shared humanity, they had given it a name. They called it hope. And for the first time, in that forgotten corner of the world, hope was not just a feeling. It was real. It was present. And it was just the beginning. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales from the edge of imagination. Until next time, keep your eyes open for the miracles in the small moments.